So, my mother passed away and I inherited her home. She was dating someone at the time, and well, they have children, which were my half siblings. I've given them a few months, but they can't find a place to stay. I don't care. I'm kicking them out, and I don't care where they end up. Let me tell you why. I'm 19 male, and my parents divorced when I was 6. My mom got a boyfriend named Josh, and they started living together when I was 9. He had twin daughters who were 4 when they moved in. Their mother was not in their lives anymore. My mom took them in as their own. I admit that I was a little jealous because, well, they had her full time and me only 50%. I think my mom loved them more too. I was a quiet kid and spent most of my time in my room when my mom had me. I didn't want any siblings. My mom tried, but to no avail, and by the time I was 16, I rarely spent time at my mom's place. And then I went to college and got my own apartment, even though my mom lived in the same city as me. Well, Mom tragically passed in December. Because Josh and her never got married for some reason, I inherited everything, including her house. I allowed Josh and the kids to still live there. I paid half the bills as he's struggling because of low-paying job. My lease ends in December, and I've decided to move into my house after. I sat down with Josh and told him I was moving in January. Since this is my house, I'll take the bedroom and he'll move to my old room. He started crying how his bedroom is his safe space and all my mom's things are there, which gives him peace. I told him he can move few of her things to my old room, since my room is 1/3 of the bedroom. He started crying even more that he doesn't want to abandon their bedroom. Well, at this point, I get pretty mad, so I told him to just get out of the house then, as I don't have energy to deal with this crap. I've since cooled down, but 3 days later, he sent me a message to notify me where he left the keys, and that they moved out. I found out they went to a homeless shelter. I got messages from my mom's side of the family how I'm heartless and cruel to kick them out. How the twins lost mom and the home in less than a year. Twins texted me how they can't believe their own brother made them homeless, and asked me what they did wrong. My dad and his family told me I did nothing wrong. Well, I do feel bad for them, but I still think I decide who gets what room in my house. Am I the a-hole? So, I kind of found a controversial comment. I'm going to read it now. It's okay if you don't agree with it. Let's talk about it in the comment section. Not the a-hole. And this. As an adult with kids, Josh should have been planning for the worst case scenario of being kicked out without notice just in case it happened. It sounds like he assumed a lot instead. The OP is young and did not handle Josh's response perfectly, possibly due to the family dynamics he alluded to. But Josh's response also sucked. Instead of appreciating the OP's support and that he was grieving also, he whined and made it all about himself. I think it's likely he was trying to guilt the OP into backing down. Alright, well, that may be true, but let me know. Do you guys think that Josh and the kids deserve to be kicked out of the home? If they did, tell me why, and if they don't, tell me why. Alright, there's another story we're going to look at now. It's an Am I the A-hole story. Am I the a-hole for wanting my mom at the delivery of my child and not my stepmom? Plus a year update. I'm 25 female and due to this summer for my first child. Due to COVID, I'm only allowed one person in the delivery room when I give birth. Normally, this would be the father, but he doesn't want to be in the child's life, and I've accepted that. So now here's my dilemma. I moved into my dad's and her house before I found out about pregnancy. My mom lives in another province. My stepmom lost her only child 20 plus years ago due to her being too premature. She was never even supposed to be able to have any. Ever since she found out that I'm pregnant, she's been over the moon, talking about how this is her second chance to finally get to raise a child, and that she's so happy I'm happy for her. I really am though, and grateful for all the help she can give me. But when the topic came up about delivery and how I can only have one person, My dad brought up her being the person. I was a little weirded out, being that I've only known her for 3 years. I told my dad that I've already talked to Mom about coming and being the one in the room, seeing as she does not live in the province and won't really be there for the child growing up. I figured it would be fair, right? If anyone's going to see my bits, I'd kind of rather someone that's already seen them, you know? But my dad's been sulking a little. Not saying anything to me, but I know my dad. I just want to know, am I being unreasonable? She's gonna be there for everything else in the child's life. I'm living in their house. It's not like she's missing something. And my mom would only see the baby for the delivery and nothing more. We're not financially well off. She can't just visit whenever. But I'm having second thoughts now because of hormones, and I'm wondering if I'm being a jerk. Guys, please let me know if I'm an a-hole. Quick little edit. Man, y'all are mad. I get it, I read, but please put the pitchforks and torches down. My stepmom is not saying it's your second chance to be a mother. She's saying it's your second chance to have a baby in the house to do stuff with. You need to understand that it's a totally new thing for her as well as me. Her child never even got to leave the hospital. She's not trying to take over my job, and she's very supportive of my decisions about what I want to do as far as childcare and everything else. I'll be moving out in a few years, and she knows this. She supports me in my decisions, and I love you all. I really appreciate the support, and I'm glad I'm not being unreasonable in wanting my bio mom at the delivery. And I see my dad's definitely the a-hole here. Well, guys, here's the update. Well, it's been a while since my first post, and I figured you guys should know the update. So, things worked out pretty swell. My mom wasn't able to be at the birth due to some health issues on her end, and she was mad at me for not traveling to her to have my baby there. Honestly, that's the greatest thing I did was staying put. I can't even describe how helpful my stepmom has been with my little one. I know a lot of people were concerned that she wanted to take my baby, but I can thankfully tell you that's the furthest thing from the truth. She's never overstepped as a nana. My father and her actually listen to me as a parent, and haven't interfered with my parenting. They listen to what I put down for ground rules, and have been the greatest support in mine and my daughter's life. All I really hear from my mom is guilt trips, that she's missing her only granddaughter's birth, and that I was selfish for not traveling to her. Which is turning into the greatest thing I could have done. It's actually saving my butt in court. The child's father has really gone off the deep end and is trying to take me to court for full custody. Considering that he lives in a whole nother province, she was born here, he's never really even been in her life and did not even pay child support until she was 6 months old. My lawyer told me he isn't getting it. So yeah, that's what's been going on in my life since the last update. I hope y'all enjoyed, and thank you for all your kind words and messages. Alright, so I was reading the comments of this, and it looks like there's an update on the way for this, but it's kind of a different storyline. Here's the comment in reference. I want to know more about how the father went from not wanting the child at all to wanting full custody. Then the second commenter says, he probably doesn't want to pay, lots of times it's a money issue. That's when OP spoke up and said, guys, I'll make a post about this shortly. I've had a lot of people ask me that question. The second this OP posts that update, you will be the first to see it. I will make an update for that video instantly. But now we're going to turn our attention to the third story of the video. Am I the a-hole for calling the police on my husband after I found out he was hiding my son's motorcycle? Guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, take a second right now to click that button. It helps support me immensely, and I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Here's the next story. I got my son a $7,000 motorcycle for his 18th birthday this past June. My son's obsessed with automobile and loves motorcycles. In his room, he has plenty of models and posters of motorcycles of all types. His bio dad passed away when he was just 12. Now, I'm married to my current husband and he has kids of his own. My husband has always been against my son's interest in motorcycles. He thinks I'm encouraging him to be reckless, distracting him from school, and to be an extension of his future. And spoiling him and blowing away my money, spending $7,000 on a motorcycle, for instance. This caused some tension between him and my son, so I told him to stop complaining about it. Around 2 weeks ago, my son's motorcycle went missing. We opened a police report, but nothing came of it. It just disappeared. My husband had a smirk on his face the entire time, just walking around saying, "I told you so. Yeah, you just wasted your money." This was unbearable to hear, to be quite honest. My mother-in-law visited a few days ago. She was talking about the other house my husband owns and mentioned seeing a motorcycle, one that's similar to the one we lost in my husband's garage while she was cleaning it. She goes to clean that house weekly, even though it's empty. My husband plans on giving it to his kids as inheritance. I was puzzled. I asked if she was certain, but she showed me a picture she took of it, which confirmed that it was indeed my son's motorcycle. I immediately rushed to call my husband and confront him about it. He admitted that he took it and hid the motorcycle in his garage as a last resort after me and his stepson kept brushing him and his thoughts off about spending $7,000 on something unnecessary and that could cause issues. Well, I blew up at him, demanding he return it. He refused and told me he's been considering selling it and giving the money back to me so I could, quote, use it wisely this time. I told him I was serious, that I'd call the police. He literally said, "Oh, this is a family matter. Cops can't do crap." I had enough. I called the cops, and as soon as I ended the call with them, the motorcycle was of course found and returned, but my husband has been taken in since there was an open file about the motorcycle going missing. He was let go eventually, but he was livid with me. He came home yelling about how awful what I did was and how crazy my behavior was. I refused to engage in the argument, but he told his entire family about it and they judged me for calling the police on my own husband, even though I already asked him to return it. He said he was just looking out for my son and that one day we'll realize that he was right, but only when it's too late. My son isn't speaking to me or my husband. I feel horrible about the whole situation, and I'm starting to think I handled this thing wrong. I found an amazing comment that I think covers exactly what I'm trying to say, and it turns out to be the #1 comment on the thread. Not the a-hole. The debate about whether a motorcycle's a good gift for an 18-year-old is irrelevant. Completely. Red herring. Ignore any responses based on this. Your husband stole an item and hid it, then allowed you to go to the police about it, smugly knowing they would turn up anything and lied, even overtly or by omission about it. When confronted, he doubled down, no remorse at all. You were right to call him out. You were right to involve the police when he threatened to sell it against your wishes. And my recommendation would be begin the divorce proceedings, because this man does not have any respect for you whatsoever. He's already proven he will commit crimes and file false police reports in order to get his way. I 100% agree with this, guys, and the reason I say that, I just think there was too many red flags throughout this story, and it just seems like a very toxic human being. Let me know your thoughts on it. I can understand the argument of, well, motorcycles are very dangerous, but I think it's kind of beside that fact because he legit stole it. And it wasn't his. Alright, there's one more final story we're going to look at. Am I the a-hole for getting back the money my husband took from our IVF treatment and gave to his friend? To start it off, I want to say that my husband, 36 male, has an older friend who's 33, that he's known since high school. They're inseparable and spend the entire week together. Like, they're really, really close. My husband and I struggled with fertility issues for years. We recently started the new method, IVF, in hopes to get at least one child together. Note that I saved for the majority of the treatment while my husband only paid $2,000 to $3,000. We saved up for another round after the huge disappointment and heartbreaking failure the first time. Hey, it's just how it goes. This time, I'd put all the money, including Dad's inheritance, and my husband did not pay a cent. Last week, I found out that he secretly pulled out $7,000. We had 11 in total. I was completely and utterly shocked. I confronted him. He casually reminded me of how many times his best friend complained about his old junk car, and he decided to lend him $7,000 to buy a decent car. His argument was that his friend would have done the same for him. I was beyond livid and asked if he really thought that was okay, and he said I should not worry and guaranteed his friend will pay us back in time. I lost it on him, immediately demanded his friend to send the money back, and threatened police involvement in case he refused. His friend immediately returned the money but told my husband about the police thing, and my husband came home and yelled at me, calling me unhinged and selfish. Ugh. I told him I saved up some of this money and used my inheritance for this treatment, while he contributed nothing, even though we were in this together. He, quote, corrected me, saying I'm the one with the problem, and he thought it's only fair that I, quote, make it up by having the IVF myself. This hurt so badly, I just could not argue anymore. He went to stay with his friends, and while constantly shaming me for how I treated them both and for the police involvement like they stole something. I read a lot of comments on this one because, to be honest, this story made me mad. I thought that this guy was completely out of line. It wasn't even his money. He did not put any money towards it, and yet he decided to take so much money out and just give it to his friend without consulting his wife. I think that the only mistake the wife made in this story is agreeing that she wants to have a baby and spend thousands with somebody like this. But guys, I might be being too judgmental, I don't know. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section. Am I being over dramatic, or is this guy actually super toxic with a lot of red flags? Let me know, drop your comments down below, or share a similar story that you've been through. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's stories. I hope you enjoyed them. If you did, you know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel with the bell notifications, and I will catch you guys tomorrow. Have an amazing day, and remember, it's cool to be kind.